Why do we use a wick in candle? What kind of wick can be used? Can I use cotton wick? Can I use wooden wick? What is the best? What is economical? How do I use it? These are common questions of people who are learning candle making and extremely important as well. So when we say what is a wick is a thread or the agent which actually allows your candle to burn. If there is no wick in the candle, there is no candle. It is extremely important part of your candle, and hence one should be absolutely clear about how to use it, which one to use it, what are the basic understandings, the material and everything. In market, you will get various options of wicks available. The most common, easily available, economical, and you can say to a great extent good wick is a regular cotton wick. This is a cotton wick. It is coated with wax, okay, and it has a metal sustainer. When we talk about wick in Indian market, mostly you get wick in lengthwise, 1 inch, 2 inch, 3, 5, 7. That's the standard which is available. This is 7-inch wick, okay? And these wick come with sustainer, so you don't have to buy a sustainer separately or do anything. Now, if we go further, can we make all type of candles with cotton wicks? Yes, you can. Ideally, there is no such rule book which says that for X kind of candles, you can use this, and for Y kind of candles, you cannot use it, okay? You can use this cotton wick for any kind of candles. They are great to use, and majority of the market uses these candles or these wicks only. Now, if that is the reason, why was there a need of a different kind of wick in the market? Okay. Now, this is one option. Relevant to this, the second option is handmade, homemade wicks. So you can take a cotton thread like this, okay, and you can make your own wig also. So I will show you how you can do that in some time. So if these wicks were great and they can be used for any kind of candles, then why the hell is the requirement of any other kind of wig? Why wooden wigs are becoming so popular? Then why do we have these braided wigs? And why all that stuff? Now, we've already understood that the wig is used for candles performance. Okay. Now, if my wick, I've also understood, is not appropriate for my candle, it will not burn properly. I'm going to show you an example. This is 2-inch diameter. Okay. On the other hand, this container is approximately 5-inch. Okay. I have another container here. This is 3-inch. Then there is one more container here, which is approximately 1 inch. I'm just sharing examples. Now, if I go to market, in market, I will get this wick only. The length will be different, but the width of my wick is going to be the same. Means for 1 inch, 3 inch, 2 inch, 5 inch, the width is same. So if I am using this width for this candle, and it is good enough to create heat for 1 inch, is it possible that the same wick is good enough for 2 inch, 3 inch, 5 inch? If we understand the logic, no, it's not possible. Okay. But we are still using the same wick. Why? Now, reason number one, why we are using cotton wicks, majority of the market is using cotton wick, is that this wick is made out of cotton thread. Okay. So it is easy to procure, easy to make, cost friendly. Okay. So that is one thing. When you burn this wick also, it is okay to burn. It's cotton thread. If you've observed, we make cotton wicks for our temples and our rituals and all, and they burn fine. So that ways it's good. That is the reason most of the candlers use this wick, right? However, what happens is I started making candles and I'm getting deeper, 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 deeper into it. And now there came a stage where I realized that when I use this container, which is exactly 3-inch diameter, and I use this single wick, which is cotton thread, when I burn my candle, it is leaving around half an inch wax on the sides and creating a tunnel. Means it's not creating enough heat to melt the whole candle. Now, what is happening is because of which a lot of wax is wasted. Okay. In general scenario, if something like this happens, what do you need to do? You need to either take a thicker thread, means you need to take a thick thread and add so that the wick is thick enough to create the heat. But practically, if I try and do that thing, if I take a thick thread and I burn it, it will take out lot of carbon dioxide. It will emit lot of soot, which is not healthy for a candle also and for the user also. So ideally, this width is good for burning. Now it is appropriate for what diameter is the second question. Now, what does most of the candle makers do is they increase the number of wicks. Okay. So one wick is not good. I am going to add 2 wicks. Okay. This is absolutely okay. This is common and it is done. And it is done for the same purpose that if one thread is very thick, it will emit too much of carbon dioxide. Rather, I position 2 wick or 3 wick or 4 wick, depending on the size of the diameter of my candle, so that the wick burns everything evenly till the end. Now, in some situations, there could be a issue that if I use this 2 wick, an example, this is a scented candle, it may overburn my candle. So another experiment was done and braided wicks were introduced. Now, braided wicks are like, what is a braid? If we remember, people who have long hair, they would know how a braid works. So this is how a braid works. Now, if you see, you make a braid out of it. I mean, I'm just giving you an example. I'm not going to create a perfect braid here. But when you create a braid of something, what happens is the thread strengthens. It becomes more strong. This is a very fine braid. The wick is very fine braid. What I'm doing with hand is something just for an example. So a braided wick or a simple wick. A simple wick will have a little less burning strength than braided wick. When the wick is braided and then dipped into wax, the strength increases, and hence the strength, once the strength is increased, the burning capacity increases. So if you have such containers, you can use braided wick also. Okay, this wick, if you look at it, it's a very beautiful wick. But this wick majority is available in 6-inch only. Okay, so bigger than that right now is not available, but maybe in near future you might have. Commonly 6 inches available. Okay? And this wick is mostly dipped in beeswax. So beeswax is very hard, very good. It has a lot of strength. It's great for pillar candles. So if you look at this wick, it is soft. If I hold it from here, it is leaning. And if I hold this wick from here, it is so straight. That's because the coating is done in paraffin and beeswax. So with beeswax coating, the burning also becomes better. Okay. So the option is there. Now there's another option in the market, which is wooden wick. And in spite of people having hardly any knowledge about this wick is a lot of this thing. It's gaining a lot of popularity. Well, I don't deny that this wick looks very beautiful, but the actual reason or the actual introduction of this wick was not done only for burning. The real reason of introducing this wick is when you burn this wick, it creates a very beautiful crackling sound. Like it's a very beautiful sound. It has a very soothing effect, and it's more like a, I would say, a nostalgic feeling, especially for people who have been in places where there is snowfall. Imagine you have fire burning, you know, you have a fireplace in your drawing room, in your room, and wood is burning. You hear that beautiful sound of woods crackling. This wick actually gives that sound, and because of that sound, this wick was introduced. We are copying this trend from international market because it does look beautiful. It does make a hype created in your candle, and you can sell your candle like a luxury range also. But honestly, they're not for all kind of candles. I mean, I would not suggest to use these wick unless and until you have a specific purpose or a specific price point you're trying to achieve, or a specific client base you're trying to work. These wick are beautiful wick. You must work with them. And wooden wicks are a little tricky also to work with. Now, the same logic goes with wooden wick also, the diameter. Now, if you see, this is approximately 60 mm. You can find 80 mm. You can find 40 mm also. So you will have to see, you'll have to test how much width do you need for the candle. Okay. So you get different sizes in the market available. Now, another important point in terms of wick is that whenever you take the wick, you must always take the wick little longer than your container. So example, the height of my container is 3 inch. So I will take the wick at least 4 inch, not less than that. Why? Because while doing this process of setting candles, we need to make sure that we have to add a wick holder. If the wick is very short and it is inside the container, you will not be able to add the wick holder. Your wick will not be stable and it will not set properly. Okay. So example, up your mold size is 2 inch. So you're thinking, oh, I'm making 2 inch candle, I need 2 inch wick. No, if your mold size or container size is 2 inch, you need to have at least 3 inch longer wick. Otherwise, you will not be able to set the candles properly. So this is something very, very, very important. And always it should be kept in mind, right? Now we've understood how to secure wick, everything, and we've understood that the wick should be in sync with the diameter. Now, example, there is a container like this. The width of this container is 6 inch. And this is approximately 3 inch. So 6 by 3 is the container size. Now, my wick should be creating that much heat that it can melt 6 inch of wax. Okay. I don't think one wick can be strong enough to do that. So what am I going to do? Now I'm going to add multiple wicks in my container. Okay. How do I know that one wick will not create enough heat? This comes with experience and burn test. If you're absolutely new and have no idea about how candles burn, it might be difficult for you to guess at first go. So you will have to do the burn test. But as you keep experiencing, you will have a basic understanding that a single wick for 6 inches is not going to work. Okay. So this is something which you will gain with container with the experience. Now, if I give you a a basic idea, the regular cotton wicks which are available in the market are good enough for 2 to 2.5-inch containers. Okay. More than that, 100% testing is required. I mean, I would say you should test everything. But if you just think that I want to first purchase something and then start, at least for 2 to 2.5-inch container diameter, these cotton wicks are perfect. So right now I'm going to add 2 wicks here because I understand that this braided wick, what I'm using, was very good to create enough heat for my 3-inch diameter. This is out of my experience I'm sharing. If when I did it for the first time, I added 3 wicks thinking that, oh, 3 wicks should be enough. And then I realized it was over burning my wax. So then I reduced the wick. Okay. So burn test helps you get clarity and be 100% sure. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to add wick. And where do I add wick? This is a very, very common issue. Do I add it like this? 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 So this you will decide using common sense that the purpose of this wick is to melt the whole wax. So if I add it here, it may not reach here. If I add here, it may overburn the sides of my container and may leave some wax in the middle. So I need to make sure wherever I fix that, it should try and give even heat. Okay. So I'm going to fix one here and one here and then test my candle. I'm using again the same glue. So always keep this closed because this gets dry very easily. So if this was a round shape, again, you'll have to figure out that where should I position it so that it can easily burn the whole thing. You may you see when you're doing it for the first time, it's not that every time you can be 100% perfect. Some testing would be required. That is why burn test is done. And with little bit of experience only, you'll be able to make this decision that, oh, this is not right, this is not going to work, this will be working. Okay. So if you've noticed, there are containers in same shape which are even bigger, like 20-inch, 10-inch. Then in that you will have to add more wicks. Okay. Now this is ready and I've added 2 wicks. If it is bigger, I may have to add more wicks. Now example, if I had to add a wooden wick in this, if it was a wooden wick, my wooden wick is as it is broader. So I will add maybe 1 wick, uh, or I may take a broader wick. So it all depends on the width of the wick. Based on that, you will take a decision of how many wicks should be added in your container. And this is how the function of multiple wicks work.